Thank you for all who are on and hopefully some others along the way. But my name is Dan Brewer, and I'll introduce the rest of our panel here in a minute. But today we're talking about reward strategies for businesses, and really the best way to attract, retain, and deepen your talent pool. And hopefully this can be a free flowing discussion at different points, and we can all leave with better awareness and the ability to execute on these things and just provide a better overall structure for our company. But going into the next few slides here. So this is a webinar. So we'll send this recording and all the resources after, and then we welcome all of your questions into the chat box. And then we're going to do our best to get those answered throughout the presentation to make sure that we're getting our best foot forward. And then today's agenda, really with our main topics to discuss, are total reward strategy and why it matters, the 5 core elements of total rewards, do-it-yourself total rewards flyer, and then possibly utilizing some benefits through advanced staff HR. And then we'll have a final question and answer period as well. So again, my name is Dan Brewer. I'm the Vice President of Business Development at Advanced Staff HR here in Nevada. And I have along with me Jackie and Nate, and I will let them introduce themselves with Jackie first.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for your time on this Thursday afternoon. I'm Jackie Presser. I'm currently the Benefits Manager at Advanced Staff HR here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Been in the business for over 20 years, servicing clients and portfolios out in the Las Vegas, Nevada community and making sure that offerings within their clients and their companies are the best possible solutions delivered to them. I really love what we do at Advanced Staff HR. We're helping business owners grow their business and also take care of their employees. And it's really rewarding to see those in our backyard, come to different levels. So I love being part of this team.
Awesome. Thanks, Jackie. Nate?
Yeah, Nate Broadhead, originally from Las Vegas, Nevada. I started at Advanced Staff 16 years ago. I just celebrated my 16-year anniversary. I was a little disappointed because I thought I was going to get a car for employee recognition, but I didn't. But, I got recognized. But I started off in sales and account management. It was funny, prior to Advanced Staff, I worked for 4 years as the business banker for Advanced Staff, and loved the company. And when the time came to switch, it was just kind of like, I've known this company so well, and I thought I'll just be here for a year or two and go back to banking. And 16 years later, here I am. So started with sales and account management, and currently I do a lot of strategic work with clients and projects that we work on. It's fun and challenging, and it's just been a lot of different opportunities at Advanced Staff. So excited to be here with you today.
Thank you, Nate and Jackie. And I've been privileged with working with both of them, and a terrific panel to address this, as they both head on a lot of these things full time for their different business units they represent. And so it's grateful to have their expertise today. Okay, so obviously, as most of us realize, it's challenging to be an employer. And we found that there's a lot of things that are somewhat limited in Nevada. There's at times it's tough to hire the right amount of skilled workers for your specific positions. Currently, we got unemployment at about 5.1 in Nevada, which is a little bit ahead of the nationwide average. And then we know that living expenses for everybody is up. It's taken a toll. Our employees are feeling it. And, the wages are increasing, and we're struggling to at times bring on the right employee, and that all mixes into a pretty difficult situation. And then there's a multi-generational workforce. So we've got different employees with different life circumstances, different things that they're looking for to a total reward system, and it all comes to head. And oftentimes it's which way do we go and how do we navigate that? And then, we found, and things that we'll address these are some of the most important priorities for your future candidates, as well as, your current employee base. Culture is big, compensation, work-life balance, career progression, advancement, and then ongoing skill development. And a quote that I really like is good pay, balance, and flexibility. They're essential, and we absolutely provide that. But honestly, it's not what makes us stand out in today's job market. Offering those benefits is expected. And that's from a head of global talent acquisition at Siemens. And so, that individual knows better than anyone that today people expect to be taken care of. They expect to have a total reward system that not only incentivizes them, but their family as well. And then, now it's, you got to wonder, hey, what is a total reward strategy? And I know Jackie will address that for us.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. So the reasons why a total strategy, reward strategy is important, at least in our eyes and our experience, with every business, and it's all different. Of course, there's no one size that fits all. We definitely have seen different people in the organizations that you're hiring. They may be multi-generational, like Dan had mentioned in a previous slide, but they may want different things. And so it's really true when we say one size does not truly fit all. So as a business, you have to find ways that, meet the needs of those in different generations. Multi-generational workforces could cause people to want things different than maybe the Gen Zers want PTO, a little bit more flexible, or work remote, more flexible. Things that might be important for them may not be as important for the millennials. So although you don't have to do all of these things, you need to make sure that you can do what your employees, want, and you need to find out what they care about most. And so offering a total reward strategy is, often approached offering a blend of both monetary as well as non-monetary benefits that will attract and, cover the entire scheme of your organization.
Definitely.
Yep. So we will just definitely go through a couple more of these slides. You don't have to be the best at everything, but you do have to be good at a few things. It'll help all employees, that are in your employee base at different parts and stages and what's most important to them. If you go ahead and go to the next slide, we're going to start covering some of those. So we've got 5 different themes that we're going to talk through in the teams and what is included in this total reward strategy. And we're going to consider things like, what is it like to work in your organization? What is the culture of your team? What is your compensation strategy? Is it clear for your staff? What does it look like? And then how do you employ your employees to be healthier? Do you provide a vehicle to obtain these strategies? Also, how are you encouraging professional growth? Do you offer licensing? Do you offer training? And we'll cover that in today's topics and slides. And then also last, how are you helping people be financially stable? It's really important to staff and employees these days to make sure that there's a financial resource available to them. Oftentimes it's some of their first jobs that they've been in. So we'll talk about that throughout the remainder. So if you'll go ahead and we'll tee it off with company culture, kind of the entire team's favorite. Go ahead.
Yeah, so every organization has a culture, whether it's positive, negative, and it all starts at the top. Jackie, what do you think are some of the good ideas or, solutions that a company could do to get their culture going?
So you kind of said right off the top, it does start, the organization, the culture starts at the top. If you go ahead and go to the next slide for me, if you don't mind. It's so important that as business owners and as the company is developing a company culture, some small to medium-sized businesses, that you guys actually have what the purpose and the vision of your company is set, and it's pretty transparent for the employees to follow along by. I'd like to think that the company's culture is actually defining its own personality, and you've often heard of that. And sometimes, what does the company's personality have to do with the employees, right? Well, it makes up a lot of what the employees can mirror and act within it and within the bounds of what the vision was, right? So I think it's important for business owners to have the clear understanding of the purpose and the vision, and also how and what encompasses values and beliefs within the company, to try to start designing and drafting what is the measurement for that. It also starts at the top with leadership. We need to walk the walk as business owners, and we need to make sure that we are willing to do what the expectations have been set for our team members. Also, we're going to provide work environment for our staff to be able to achieve great results. And our teamwork and behavior can be worked on because, again, personalities, when we talk about that, the employees make up a lot of the company's culture as well, with personalities, at least some of it. And then also, as a company, I want to talk about what our values are and what our beliefs are, how does that serve our customer base? How does that help us grow? Do we do the right thing? Are we genuine? Do we care? And how as a company do we actually support those? Then we engage our staff and we make sure that we have rewards and recognitions for them as they're doing a great job obtaining that, and giving them a little bit of perks throughout it. So, and please do not forget, this is the biggest part, employees are looking up, and the word up, I will say, they're wanting to make sure whatever's expected of them is being done at the top by leadership. So again, I said walk to walk at the beginning. It's really important. Great company culture also promotes continuous communication through top to bottom, bottom to top. It's really important that everyone's on the same page. Everyone feels empowered when you do that. A good company culture also will refuse to support politicking within the units or within the team members. So that's something that's very important. They also do not allow the outlier behavior from any level, including ownership. So providing also, a buffering for staff between, outlier behavior that can get a little bit tough sometimes. So we ask you, in our experience, we want to watch out for those things that could definitely tank a company culture pretty quick. And you work so hard to build it. It takes time. And it definitely, as you grow, you have to fold more people into the culture of the company, and actually, get them to adopt it. So also, we definitely want to avoid, if we can, the pitfalls of, we do not accept the ain't it awful mentality within our organization. This is kind of where the employees can sit around and, basically be a chronic grumbler of something that's happening to them or around them, instead of actually looking for solutions to help get out of whatever is causing that torment or whatnot. And so definitely the company being ahead of that is very beneficial for the entire culture in the organization.
Hey, Jackie, just one point to bring up about outlier behavior from any level. I've seen great companies with wonderful cultures. Outlier behavior needs to be addressed immediately. Yeah, people can have bad days, they can have bad moments or whatever, but I remember being in stats class, and you look at all these things and you look at these outliers. The outliers can become the norm if they're not addressed quickly and dealt with. And so as we talked about there, just that outlier behavior from any level, it also, needs to be addressed and taken care of quickly, because that culture can change at any time.
Yep.
And you want to be mindful of that. So.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. It's perfect. And then we wanted to just go into how to set yourself apart. As businesses, they definitely have to do stuff to attract this talent and maintain a good company culture. And how do you distinguish yourself? And things and ways that we've seen, companies do this and arrive. We've seen flexible schedules. Those are benefits that employees are given, coming back from COVID, or even, maintaining workforce through COVID, pre-COVID, we figured out that it can work, right? And so the remote work option or a hybrid option was something that employees spoke in the workforce that they could actually produce while they're out there. And sometimes it works within industries, sometimes it does not, but it's a flexible desire in some of the culture of today's employment workforce. And then we've seen some businesses implement, or even here, we've seen, implementing some low cost items, because again, all of this stuff to do with culture and building team exercises, it does cost money, but we've given some ideas of, we do employee recognition programs. We make sure we celebrate their anniversaries or their birthdays. We make sure that we party at a luncheon, that we actually celebrate together. We actually have, announcements of these recognitions. Also, we definitely, there's ideas on here of pickleball tournament, company events, any types of sports and things like that. And so just giving you some ideas of how to set yourself apart. In addition, if you'll go to the next slide stay where you're at. I'm just kidding.
Dan, did you add pickleball tournament on that list? Was that you?
Absolutely.
So, and I wanted to talk about some of our company culture. Nate talked about, he's been here a little bit, I've been here a little bit. And over the years, what made it beneficial to want to work for an organization that really did a great job at nailing company culture and rewarding employees, I will say, by far, we've been able to get together and, we do hold company luncheons quarterly. We love it being a potluck. We love it being catered. Doesn't matter, but it really is breaking bread over a table and getting to know the staff and being engaged with them on a quarterly basis. We have a fun time with that. We also hold a family movie night every year that we invite the families to, so that the kids and all of the spouses can come. So we get to see them annually and make sure that we see how they're growing, but it provides a unity for the culture of the team. And then we also host nights at the ballparks. And, we also have a bowling league that we ordered some Kingpin t-shirts for, that we're out representing 4 teams in a bowling league out at the Suncoast on the Wednesday nights. So a good way for employees to mix up and get to know each other a little bit better. And then when they're ready to work during the day, they can roll up their sleeves and there's no walls up. It's kind of fun. It causes a really good culture to exist for us.
And what's neat about this is, so, our company has obviously grown over the years. And I remember when I first started, we did our Christmas party at our owner's house. We got everybody there, but then the company, we outgrew it. We couldn't do it anymore, but we still kind of kept those ideas and we changed them because we wanted to still be able to get together. And I think businesses of any size, whether you got 5 or 10 employees, if you grow, whatever, there are things that you can do that you can kind of continue traditions that just keep that culture the well. So it's great to see our company, how we've kept our Christmas activities and white elephant gifts and things like that, even as we've grown and doing that. So, yeah.
Yeah. And Nate, I think you make a great point. And I think, as you grow, I think one thing that's paramount is having access to ownership or, executive level, and hearing from them. And like Jackie said, having a meal with them, but also, on a quarterly basis, hearing what's coming for the company, being reminded of, the great benefits that you have, but also that intrinsic value of being able to have a melting pot of people from different cultures and backgrounds, but you all share a common, enjoyment of each other and extreme job satisfaction. So that's been a great differentiator in my time for sure. Cool. Let's go ahead. And now we'll open it up for a Q&A session. If anybody had any questions regarding company culture. Or comments.
If anyone does have any questions, it was planned that we all wore blue today. Okay. So.
All right, going once. Okay, we'll move forward. All right, next we'll talk about comp strategy. This is a great thing that is pressing on the minds of many. And I think for me, it's always thinking about what's the per hour wage that an employee earns, along with associate taxes that are combined. It's a huge line item in every company's budget. And so Nate, kind of help us break down and learn some strategies that can help us know that we're competitive with our competition out there.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Dan. Yeah, and as you said, I mean, that line item for many companies is the biggest line item, employee wages and taxes. And how do we do this? And then there's a lot more to that as we're talking about a total compensation strategy with benefits and everything moving through with that. I guess the key thing is, as you're looking at developing a compensation strategy, you want to review every area, and we'll get into that. We'll get into a few of these things some more. There are wages, okay, but there are other things as well, and we'll get it through and discuss that. But the thing you want to kind of know is kind of understanding with your competition. And good questions to always ask yourself as you're developing this and going through it. Do we lead? Do we meet, or do we lag? Do you lead the competition? Are you a leader in the market? Do you meet the market, or are you lagging in the market? Now, I don't think anybody on the phone call today is with Apple or Google, where we just have access to infinite amount of resources here. And so there's strategies that you definitely want to think about as we're working through this. Do you want to lead in wages and then just meet with employee benefits? Or do you want to meet with wages, but then have other total compensation areas? But again, as going through and putting this together, there has to be a strategy. There has to be some talk. Now, we're going to go through this. There is so much to this. I've taken SHRM courses on compensation strategies. There's a lot here. What I want to get through is, don't feel overwhelmed if you have that you have to do this all right now. Let's start and let's take a look at it. And again, what are you trying to accomplish? If you're trying to say, hey, we want to get the very best talent out there, and that is what is required of your business or your company. Okay, well, you're going to need to lead in many, many areas. If you don't, there's some where you can lead or, meet, but going through just understanding what is the talent pool you're trying to attract and retain for your company. And so we've got a few things here with, base compensation. Again, are you leading, meeting, or lagging? Bonuses. How do you do bonuses? Do you have a structure for how you do bonuses? Is it based off performance? Is it quarterly? Is it yearly? And again, talking about everything here, group benefits. Group benefits are huge. So I had a conversation with an employee about 6 months ago. I was talking about leaving their company because the other company was going to pay them X amount of dollars more. And I said, well, what do they do for benefits? I don't know. And I said, the company you're with has an extremely rich benefits plan. They went back and took a look of it and went through there, and they were like, oh, I forgot to take a look about that. But group benefits is huge, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Time off benefits. Sometimes you call them sick, vacation. I love the concept of PTO. And remember, PTO starts with paid. It's paid time off, so you're taking time off and you're getting paid. So what is that? What is that strategy that you have? Deferred compensation, wellness activity, and then we can talk a little bit about soft benefits. But there's a lot with this as far as we go through, and you're trying to understand with that slide. And I think if you go back, Dan, to just one, let's see, one more. I think we're that, yeah. So again, with this slide here, there's a lot to this, and we could spend a ton of time on this, but one is starting. But one is important thing is just evaluating your competition or evaluating the market. There's all sorts of programs out there: PayScale, BLS, Salary.com. There's all sorts. The free stuff, I'll tell you this: the free stuff, it can get all over the place, and you also have to understand your market. If you're in Nevada and someone's talking about, Tennessee or whatever, you got to really understand your market. So what's your competition doing? And then when you go through as far as setting hourly and salary rates, again, this is where you have to really put the strategy in. What is your range? What are you looking at? Where are you starting out with your salary? Where are you starting off with your wages? And what is your progression? As someone is there for a year or 2 years or moving through, do you have a plan for that? Again, there's a lot to this. And so, don't feel like, I got to put all this together, but start working on these things and start thinking about it. And there are variable components as well that we go through that we just talked about, is that, well, we can do these things with base compensation, but we can do a lot more with employee benefits, or we can do a lot more with PTO. We can do a lot of other things. So looking at that full compensation. And And again, this slide right here, so ensuring equitable pay and compliance. Again, advanced staff HR, one of the things that we do is we want to make sure that our clients and also just you on the webinar right now are aware with the federal, with the federal laws that go out there. And so the Equal Pay Act is a federal law that prohibits pay level based on gender only. I'm going to jump to the state laws. So many states have passed pay transparency acts, and they're different in every state. Some get a little bit more complicated, but this is going to continue to go where they have requirements that you have to disclose salary ranges, pay data by gender, and others, including pay equity by gender and race. So, I remember the old school days of, you could just, you maybe you didn't have to disclose everything, or, I remember 10 years ago, an employer saying, my employees go, they can't talk about what they make. There are federal and state laws with that these have to be disclosed, and they're going to continue to move, and they're going to continue to move forward. One thing I do want to discuss and bring up, 2016 it seemed like it was yesterday, and it also seemed like it was 20 years ago. The Fair Labor Standards Act that we've got put down there, it talks about 59,000 in 2025. I just want to go over this. So the Department of Labor has proposed an increase to what we call it the white collar, the minimum wage, the base salary of what a salary exempt employee would make. And currently that base wage is about $680 a week, or it's around $36,000 a year. That's the base wage that you can pay the salaried exempt employee. The proposal is that is going to change. And again, that is going to change to about $55,000 a year. It is a huge jump. And so this went through. This has been approved by the DOL. It's not signed into law, but they're moving very quickly on this. Now, I'll just tell you for history, or for the experience I had, the same thing happened in 2016. At the end, it didn't happen. They're moving on this very quickly. What we are doing with advanced staff right now is we're doing an audit of all of our employees that are salaried exempt that are around that would need to get bumped up. But it could be one of those things. And again, I just want to make sure you're aware of it, that if you have salaried exempt employees, that base pay right now is $36,000. The DOL is proposing that be moved up to $55,000, and then they're proposing additional increases after that. So it's going to be very important to talk about, well, what is it that we need to do as a company? And there's some strategies with that anyone on the call today, if they want to reach out and discuss with it, but it's going to be a huge factor if it does go through and it does pass and it's signed into law. And it's just something that we want to let you be aware of, that it's out there and it's proposed to be coming very quickly. So,
Thanks, Nate. Great breakdown there. And I think, this whole thing is basically, we just want you creating and thinking about your own reward strategy. You're going to receive this deck afterwards, and we just encourage you to go through it and, have a self checklist to make sure that you're doing what you can, and you're also identifying, man, here's some gaps that I could fill, and you kind of timestamp that on when would be the best time and when you're ready. But what Nate hit on is huge, like to be able to stay on top of all the legislative changes to address things that have to be addressed is pretty paramount. And then getting an idea and a temperature of what the current employee base that you're bringing in, what their compensation needs to be. And so again, on the right are several questions that are paramount, but all things that need to be addressed, and you'll be able to do that in a little bit. So great job there, Nate, breaking that down. And then don't have any questions as I look in, but if anybody has anything else, we can keep going here. And then we will talk now about a favorite topic of mine, health and wellness. And I know Jackie's a resident expert on this, so.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, so the overall trend, at least on some of the publishings that we've seen out there, or even in the market, the percentage of companies investing more in the employees' wellness in 2024 is rising. And it's great as we look again in the total overall reward strategy where that fits and like kind of what encompasses in entire employee wellness. So just want to talk about mental health being no shocker here. Number one on the matrix, they are coming in at 91% of employees say that it's important to them, and employers are actually offering that. And then, of course, stress management, telemedicine, lifestyle spending account, and then meditation. I was going to say mediation, just joking. It's never mediation. Sure, in the middle of employment law. But
sometimes you need meditation after mediation. So that's the way. So, yep.
So just to break it down, on mental health, where I've seen and I'm really passionate about, employers can do really simple things. They can install employee assistance programs. A lot of the group health benefits may encompass or have components within them that actually offer quite a bit of access points for employees. And again, the overall goal is that these employees are happy, they feel like they are being heard, and they're actually being able to work through stressful situations that may impact or impede them from work and keeping things balanced in their life. So in an EAP situation, I can tell you firsthand, in Nevada, the last couple of years, we've had some employers, we've kind of thrown out a big sponsorship of that, and employees have been large utilizers and in favor of it. But it's helped these employees in times where we've had events such as like the mow down on the Las Vegas Strip of a vehicle that kind of ran over some pedestrians on the strip. Some staff members were out front helping and taking on site and on scene things with those injuries that were out there. But the employee assistance programs were accessible for them to come out and do a big crisis intervention and actually make sure that they didn't need to talk about it or get things through things. Also, the recent UNLV incident that also extended services not only to the employees that might have been impacted, but more into the families, because what goes into universities are kids attending there or actually working there as an adult or spouses and things like that. And so where we see mental health being accessed, not only in the stress and life situations, is how do they reduce some of those impact points in their life and gain access to that. So it's super employer, very low cost in most cases for employers to actually offer that for their employees. And we see a large benefit. Telemedicine, that's another gaining very popularity in a workforce. As we know, employees really take very little time on themselves to keep themselves healthy. But in the telemedicine market, we've seen strides where they're able to actually, get access points, avoid emergency rooms or wait times in clinics and things like that for sessions that they may need help with, and they can do it on their break or their lunch hour. So telemedicine has been a very good advantage in the medicine market. And again, most healthcare plans these days are incorporating that. So in the group health benefits, you're providing that to your employees by doing that. And then mindful mediation, just kidding, meditation. The mindfulness is getting the mind healthy, right? And most health plans, again, they offer some types of sessions and webinars or access points for members to get any type of assistance for these items. But one thing I think is pretty neat that United Healthcare does really well on is they create these participation webinars, and actually in person, called sound baths. And so employees of generational inside of maybe some of the younger employees that might be doing yoga, maybe that's not enough, but attending a sound bath actual event where they get in there, close their eyes, and regenerate and rejuvenate personal reflection, it helps them get back to feeling whole and that they can accomplish the day. And again, overall, those are what's important to our staff. It's providing a wellness benefit for them to feel like they're taken care of by their employer, but also that they are taking care of themselves, because them healthy is the goal for the employer. A couple ideas that I wanted to share. A couple of us pulled these together from previous work experiences or clients that we serve that they're doing, and I wanted to just showcase that a little bit. In the wellness activities that is very low cost that employers can incorporate pretty easily and quick, a concept like toning up at the terminal, the computer terminal, calling out maybe a take five break. Everybody in your team's departments, let's take a break for 5, no reason, just everybody take away, talk, interact, mingle. Also sponsor club memberships. It might be like a Costco or a Sam's Club. You can also, do a biking club, a walking club, things that would bring, again, wellness and activity levels to the employees so that they can feel like it's not always just really rigorous and sitting at a workstation and pounding out the workday. Some of the soft benefits we want to talk about that, and also in the wellness and health section is, pets at work. That's a big popular thing for some people that it's important to. Perhaps, there's a dedicated time frame where you can allow people to bring their pets. Avoiding, of course, interaction or dogs that don't get along or allergies, that would be good. But we also have seen college loan repayments, service awards, performance recognitions, and then remote work is given as a reward, not as an actual standard. So that's another thing that companies can do that's very low cost and thinking about, offering things that promote wellness and activity. All right. You're already on this. Yep, perfect. So then on to the time off. Because time off, like Nate covered a little bit earlier, that's a competing necessity that you are going to want to establish as a company. Like, what do we want to do in sponsoring time off and away from work? And again, it's to make sure that the employees are enjoying a work-life balance so that they can actually truly get away, disconnect, recharge, and be ready for the work. So we like to see, in the Nevada market, the popular one is PTO, paid time off, which is a combination of a vacation and sick leave. Doesn't matter why they're taking it or whatnot, but the employees are earning an amount in a bucket to be used for any reason that they want to. Again, bereavement is probably one of those things that you never think about, but when employees have to take off for a loved one passing, having that available to them to use reduces their stress and keeps them in a spot where they love working for that employer. And then your holidays, again, watching for competitive likeness in the marketplace. If you're in a bank and you need to honor bank holidays, or if you're in a hospitality industry, you're doing kind of what the other ones next to you are doing, just keeping that in mind when you're setting up for your success with offering benefits that are meaningful to your staff members, while not, falling out of line with what's going on in your market. One other thing, I know I talked about the pets a minute ago. It might sound like I like pets a lot. I guess I do like dogs. I have 2 standard poodles out there that keep my heart calm. But pet care leave, you have, again, the diverse workforce where you have some employees that might be important. That might be their babies, their fur babies. That's what they have. And they want to feel included to be able to take off to go to a vet appointment. So that's something really not, nominal in some people's minds, but it's worth a really big value for some of those employees that it actually does benefit them. Anyone have anything to add with this too? Out of the group, Dan or Nate?
I think that's a great list. What I've also seen businesses do, depending on holidays, some businesses, that's their boom time. They make a lot of money during the holidays. And so what I've seen is that they then honor a holiday a few days after. It's a rolling holiday. Hey, we can't take this day off because it's essential crucial to our business, but we're going to give you a day off at a later time. And so there's, sometimes you look at holidays with that and do those things. And yeah, I'm just excited to walk into your office in a few days and see all these dogs in there. So it's going to be great.
All right. And then Dan, if you could go up to, I think it's back to, it's right next to the mental health slide. One more. Here we go. Nope, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I did want to just mention, Nate talked about group health benefits and making sure that there's actually, dental and vision programs in place, or if you think that you need group life insurance and things like that. Overall benefit packages, we didn't spend a lot in the actual webinar preparing that, but it is really a big contributor in the fact of everyone's actual wellness, right? Their overall feeling of stress that might be impacted. If they have a good health plan, they're able to use it. If Johnny gets sick, they're not worried, right? They have some net there to go use and actually treat their Johnny and be back to work. And actually it makes their life feel very achievable and financially a little bit better off. So working for an employer that offers those types of benefits.
Great.
All right.
And, well answered. Great comments. And yeah, I think Jackie hit it on the head. There's a little something for everybody in the overall benefit and wellness strategy, and good to understand what your base wants. And again, these slides, like we mentioned prior, it's again just to try to get you to think about what your offering is, and a checklist of if the worst thing happened, how would I handle it, or how would I address this situation? And again, you'll be able to review this and self-check and compartmentalize and get some solutions that are right for you and your organization. We do have a question in the chat. The question was, how much does it cost to provide an EAP? And it was answered by our very own Rebecca Woods, who is over our human resource department here. And Rebecca said the typical cost for an EAP ranges from $2 to $5 per month. But if provided through a PEO, it is usually free as it is bundled into their fee. So any additional comments on that, Jackie, and why an EAP would be necessary?
Yeah. Honestly, what we saw in some of our companies, we offered EAP alongside a medical program, kind of like as a rider. But then when we came post-COVID, I don't know why we always go to post-COVID, but it's an important period of our time of learning a lot. We started offering that to both employees that were part-time or full-time, didn't matter. It wasn't those employees just qualified for a health plan, because what we saw was even our temporary or our seasonal staff, they also needed to be productive in the workforce. And it was a nominal charge in order to give them access of something that was very rewarding. So sometimes if you buy it on a large scale, or like Rebecca had mentioned, if you're in a PEO, you can get it for a very inexpensive price. I see it range anywhere from, like she said, $2 to $5. I've seen it as low as $1. Just depends on how big your volume is as you grow your business. And that, if you're offering it to part-time, that's what I mean by that. It encompasses everyone, and you get it at a better price.
Awesome. Thanks, Jackie, for a little color on that as well. All right. So now we'll dive into professional growth. And, I find that, most employers, they're, depending on the positions, but they hire someone that they kind of know that they have the basics of the job, whether it's from, a somewhat rigorous hiring process or some due diligence they've done with a headhunter and know of this, individual's past experience, and they have a confidence or a knowledge of how they'll do on the job. So then it begs the question, why would we spend time and money and resources on training and professional development? And we'll have Nate take us through a little bit of that.
Yeah, we can look at our slide there that, 61% of employees value professional development in the workplace, but only 40%, offer them. So when you're saying 60% of the employees out there value it and see it as a benefit, again, we're talking about attracting, retaining, good quality employees. And so, yeah, I mean, if you're going to go hire a controller, you want to know that they've got the aspects of tax and accounting down, and that you don't have to teach them that. But we're also looking at a generational work, and there's a lot of entry-level positions. There's a lot of positions as well, but there's also positions as a controller or anything like that professional growth helps them to be a better employee. They're going to be more efficient at their job. They're going to be more excited. They're going to be more engaged. Okay, so they can still understand the basics of everything, but allowing them to grow, allowing them to develop, helps them to be more engaged and a better employee for you. And again, you start with a younger entry level, moving all the way through, and there's a lot of different ways. But when we talk about, it encourages growth, and this is a huge thing for retention. Okay, the average employee stays at a business for 4 years. They say millennials stay at a business for about 2 to 3 years. How can we retain employees? Allowing them to have professional growth opportunities is a key thing. A lot of businesses will say, wow, I got to spend a lot of time, or I got to do this. There's so many different ways with technology now that way that we can do things. And I'll tell you one quick thing that costs no money is your business has a ton of experience and a ton of knowledge. Okay. Start a mentoring program. Have a mentoring program. If you got, younger employees that are just starting there and you've got seasoned employees, what a great opportunity to have a mentoring program. Skill sets and knowledge can be shared and passed. And that doesn't really, you got to set it up, you got to do it, but it doesn't cost you any money. But there's a lot of things that can be done. And, we talk about skill shortages there. If you're in the tech industry, if you're in the and we're all in some sort of tech, we all use tech all the time. Tech is changing overnight. So staying up on that, just understanding it. Sometimes people talk about professional growth, and I say, who would you rather get your taxes done by a CPA, a tax advisor that's not up to date on the current tax laws, or someone who's fresh and knows everything going on? I think it's a pretty straightforward question, but also, do you want your employees to understand the new technologies, the new things that are happening, that they can stay fresh on, and they're going to be so much more engaged and involved as an employee because they're growing and developing and learning. And again, it reduces employee turnover. It says 45% of employees would stay at a company longer if it invested in learning and development. So there's a lot that you can do here. And again, just encouraging, if you're not doing it, are you starting it? Are you, do you have you thought about career progression and planning? Development planning. This is really cool. They put it in here. So we've heard most about performance management. How are you performing? But development planning. And development planning is really focused on helping that employee grow, to grow and to get new skills. It's not just what's their performance, but so it is kind of a neat tool that we can utilize where we're working on developing our employees and we're putting development planning in place. And there's rewards for professional forward movement. I've seen businesses of all things. You can get a pay raise if you get this certification, or you can get this if you do that. There's the carrot and the stick there, which is nice. And it's also good with dealing with lateral opportunities. Sometimes at our businesses, we have these wonderful, wonderful employees, and they're just a little burned out on their current job, but they're fantastic. They're great. Is there a lateral move where that employee can go and learn a different side of your business, and grow and develop, So sometimes we look, and it's always good as managers and as owners and talking with our employees about, where do you see yourself? What do you want to do? What do you want to happen? Because, and I've seen it so many times where great employee, I'm just burned out, I'm burned out, I want a different challenge. Man, could they have just switched seats? Moved over to a different department, and you've retained a good employee. Plateaued employees are great as well. You get a wonderful employee that just feels like they've plateaued out. I would take that drive from Las Vegas to St. George, and I always see those plateaus. They're just flat and they're plateaued. Sometimes we get plateaued out. Does that plateaued employee need a new challenge? Does he or she need a new challenge, something to incentivize them, something to just kind of get the fire going again? They're a great employee, but what do we do? So there's a lot with professional growth, and there's so many programs now that can be utilized through technology, so many programs that can be done. And so it's good just to start thinking about it as, how are you doing it? And it's only going to come back and benefit you as an employer. Okay. Your employees will be better at their job. They'll be more engaged. Okay. And the retention levels will be higher.
Awesome. Thank you, Nate. Great breakdown there. And again, some good questions to really digest here and to make sure that you're focused, on the development of your employees and what it means. And, is there a clear career path? Do people know, what's needed to advance to certain steps? And, that is a huge part of employee retention, and some great insightful questions here. Now, as we open it up, we do have a question here, and we'll go ahead and answer it live, and we'll rely on our panel here. But question was, is it important that the employer highlight growth areas and pathways rather than just offering reimbursement to the employee for training they complete?
Yeah, not ever, when I guess it's talking than just offering reimbursement. Everyone's motivated a little differently. So the employer highlight growth areas and pathways. Yeah, that's great. As an employer, as you're talking with someone, if you receive this certification, these are the opportunities that, these are the additional opportunities that, can be made available to you. So yeah, when you're just saying, well, if you take this, I'm going to reimburse you for it, but I think that that's a great question, when we bring those up, is that to say, hey, here's the benefit for doing this, is that you're going to grow as an employee, you're going to grow professionally. And these are the new opportunities that can be made available to you. So if you don't have the resources to reimburse for it, there's still those great ways to do that. So it's a great question.
Awesome. Okay. The next is we're going to talk financial. Go ahead.
There looks like there's another question out there that was answered, Dan.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the question was regarding an individual said they work in HR in a lottery company, and they were told to write a leave policy document the company can work with, but was rejected because they added the annual leave, sick, bereavement, maternity, casual leave in the document. The management asked this individual to create another document that would fit in as a startup company, because the company's been around for about a year. And Rebecca answered and said, as the team has mentioned, some companies cannot afford to provide everything at the same time. I would select the most desired benefit and write up a proposal for that benefit. At the same time, you can present other benefit ideas, but stage them in terms of the time of rollout. I would write up a 5 to 6 year plan showing the approximate date and cost of each. And that was wonderfully answered by Rebecca, just because you're absolutely right. As a company, especially in their infancy, you have every right to, take the time it takes to build out a program. And I think there's some great transparency and an inherent confidence that the employee base will have if you address it head on and really show them what your plan is and the rollout stages, and really empathize with what they need and what their concern or want is regarding benefits. So great question, and thanks for answering that so well, Rebecca. Cool. All right, the next would be financial well-being. So there's a lot of different ways that employers can impact an employee's bottom line. And we want to talk about some of the key ways we've seen employers address this. And so we'll actually turn this over to Jackie Ann, Nate, to kind of discuss this freely.
Yeah, so and for sake of time, I don't want to start speed talking for the webinar. We have about 5 minutes. Is that about right, Dan?
That's correct. Okay.
So just this slide kind of highlights a really high level, but just mentioning, notably retirement plans, that companies offer a 401k retirement plan, and they offer multiple benefits that will impact the employee financially for now and for the future, right? So that's something that, an employer can do multiple different matching options. They can do safe harbor, they can do partial, they can do non. I mean, there's so many benefits there. It gives the employees peace of mind, though. Same as profit sharing. Some of those executives or even top tier talent you want to actually attract, there's options in that vehicle. In employee mindsets, they want to know, how can we protect, us today? Like, what does that look like? So offering a flexible spending arrangement or even a childcare reimbursement program that gives the employees opportunities to withhold money out of their paycheck, set it aside, and reimburse themselves for medical out-of-pocket expenses that they're going to be facing. But the beauty of it, it's done on a pre-tax savings. So they're not paying any federal on that dollar. They're putting aside for themselves. Very important for employers to, if they have access to that, they're able to do that for them. And then also, you know, the HSA, offering a high deductible health plan partnered with an HSA can provide a sense of being able to control your healthcare cost and be in the driver's seat and saving your money in deferral for pre-tax savings to spend on copays and out-of-pocket when it's time. Then if we can go to a couple of slides, we can go just, if you would like, to the financial stress or financial fitness, if we would. And Nate, you want to bring up that?
Yeah, you know, so we've recently started working with a company called FinFit, and what a fantastic tool this is. We've been, I think, for years and years and years, employers have come to us and said, you know, can you help my employees with budgeting and saving and financial planning and everything? And it's always kind of this gray area, you know, and we've thought of things, and we've got this great company, FinFit, that you can definitely go check out, or we can talk with you more about it. But this is a wonderful company that teaches about financial planning, about education, about what are your goals were. How do you know, when we talk about budgeting right now for then and there, but also like, you know, okay, when you want to retire, what you want to do. It's interesting. You know, budgeting is one of it's just a great thing. Understanding what's coming in and what's going out, and understanding what you're spending. I mean, I spent years as a banker, and it was very eye-opening to me about some people had no clue. They knew what was coming in, and then they had no clue what was going out. And so there's a great budgeting tool on there that employees can use to budget and manage their finances better, and a lot of financial planning. So a wonderful tool, and we'd love to share more of that with you.
Awesome. Great answer, Nate. And then, you know, included in that, you know, the deck that we'll be sending will also be including this do-it-yourself total rewards flyer. So it's just a template for you to create your own custom total rewards. And again, a good checklist to make sure that you're addressing things from this, and also things that you could think of for the future. And again, you know, just to kind of, you know, wrap it up, you know, we here at Advanced Staff HR, we have a lot of different tools and features to really help you address a lot of what we spoke to today. Whether you want to go high detail, you were talking medical benefit plans from hire to retire. We have you really built into a nice circumference where you can address it all, and stay on top of all the legislative changes, and then have the peace of mind that, you know, your employees are being paid on time, and you don't have to worry about, you know, different filings or staying on top of different things you need to. So we're super happy and look forward to having more discussions with you regarding that. And then we'll go just to a final Q&A. We had, if there's any other questions, I think I'm looking. Kelly had a nice comment, said she'd like to chat more. That's great. But again, super thankful for everybody that jumped on. Again, here's the email address you could reach out to, and the phone number, and a very convenient QR code, which we all love. And we would be happy to discuss more in depth with you, and also help you plan it out, help you strategize, and be a resource that you can count on. And again, thank you very much for your time. And on behalf of Jackie and Nate, we appreciate you, and looking forward to many more